The Matrix trilogy is an incredible cinematic accomplishment. I made an entire video talking about why we never needed a fourth movie, and I did a deep analysis of it, and I still stand by that. Unfortunately, a fourth movie was made, and I think the general consensus is it wasn't very good, and if you clicked on this video, you probably agree with me. So let's get into why you're here. So, I'm an author. That means I wrote a book. What is it, you might ask? It's a lot of pages glued together with words written on them, but that's not important right now. If you saw the title of the video, you know why you're here, so let's get into it. I think that the fourth Matrix movie wasn't very good. It didn't make itself very necessary, and it even commented on the fact that it didn't need to be made at all, which was really weird.
Just being very self-aware about the cash grabbiness of it all. Okay, but just to be sure so I can tell the shareholders, we're still gonna do that, right? We are, yeah.
Hanging a lampshade on something doesn't make it go away, unfortunately. Or fortunately. Anyway. That being said, I thought that the fourth movie did have a kernel of an idea inside of it that could have been explored more, and I was kind of hoping it would go in that direction, but of course it didn't. It turned out to be rather predictable and pretty much a remake of the original movie, which is weird too, because I feel like a lot of people like the first movie, but maybe not the second and third one especially as much. So even making a movie that weirdly enough resets a lot of what was undone by the second and third movie is kind of not standing by what happened in the sequel films, which also rubbed me the wrong way as someone who loves all three. And you would think that the people who actually made the movie would stand by what they had done, but
I guess not!
Enough of me rambling. Here's my idea for what I would have done with a fourth movie. So, we would start very similarly to how the real fourth movie, Resurrection, does begin. That Thomas Anderson is a guy that is working for a big company, and he was the big brain behind a series of video games that came out in the late 90s and early 2000s that were called The Matrix. And now they want to make him create a fourth game, and he's resistant to it. As we see in the movie, but Warner Brothers is going to go forward with or without him, so he's going to try and be part of it. Or he's being forced into it. Exactly the same opening. I maybe even include the therapy thing, but I haven't quite figured that out yet. Just a thought here, a little aside, for a character thing, I think it would be really interesting to play it that the executive who is... he in the film as it is, he turns out to be the Agent Smith character. The dynamic I would play with here is that he is aware that Thomas Anderson based Agent Smith off of him, but they've never talked about it openly. I don't think this really works if we have a young actor playing him, as we did in the finished movie. This would mainly work if Hugo Weaving would return to play his role, and maybe for this, I would like to think that he would respect this idea a lot more, and maybe he would come back, or we just cast someone who's older to make that work. If not, then maybe at least an awareness that, of this younger executive, he could at least be aware that Thomas Anderson in the past did kind of make fun of his boss with the Agent Smith character, and he's kind of aware that this is probably going to happen again. And then you have a meta-narrative going on where the movie is doing that, but it also is happening in the story, so this is my idea. To continue with the plot now. So now Thomas Anderson starts working on the games. And he's just brainstorming. He's thinking of every angle that he can approach a sequel Matrix game from. And so we're privy to his brainstorming. We see all the cool action stuff that we would want to get from a Matrix film, and some long sections of philosophical ramblings and whatnot like we had in the second and third films, especially. And that way we're getting our action fix. We came to see a Matrix film, and this so far isn't shaping up like one, right? Because the thing for me is that the film as it stands, we know that Neo is going to get awakened and we're just going to have a repeat of the story, and that's exactly what happens. So in my version, that never happens. He never gets woken up. This is real. He really did make these games. This is the story behind the story that we all experienced via the trilogy. And he keeps coming at the story from different angles. There should be a sequence where he explores the machine civil war, where there are some machines siding with the humans and fighting each other, and he runs with that idea for a while.
Wow, that actually sounds like a really interesting movie, right? Anyway, so back to this one. Sure.
He explores versions where Neo does come back. He explores ones where Neo doesn't come back. He explores different ways Smith could return, and different angles. Some versions are more self-aware. At one point, he leans very hard into basically the version of the film that we have, where he's making a story about himself, who's the game designer, who had his mind wiped, and da-da-da-da-da. Basically the plot of the finished movie. That's another thing he brainstorms. Intercut with this is him going about his daily life and interacting with a set of people. Maybe he's going to therapy, like we see. He's talking to the executive, who obviously wants to know what's up. Are you working on this? We do have deadlines and stuff. We have to get started. I have to tell the people above me. I have to tell the people above me what you're working on, where the progress is. And of course, he's going to that coffee shop. I liked that idea, so I'm going to keep that. He's going to the coffee shop, and there is indeed this woman that has this uncanny resemblance to Trinity as she was realized in his video games. And it catches his attention. So then, as we see there's the other guy that thinks he has some kind of romantic interest in her, and he's trying to engineer something, basically what we had in the film. And then, but it's not happening, and this is just an ongoing thing that happens several times. This would happen several times. Finally, the culmination of all the threads, Thomas Anderson basically has a little crisis of conscience. He realizes, I'm betraying myself if I try to make a fourth game, and my heart isn't in it because I told my story. It's done. And this is what he's realizing when he's sort of going to therapy, is the things that were bothering him before. He has worked through a lot of this already by making the games, and that's why he doesn't have anything else to say with this world, with these characters. So eventually, he just goes onto his social media, and you could have a subplot where there are people speculating on what he's working on because the deadlines are getting close and they haven't heard anything. You have some media personalities in there, some YouTubers, commenting on this sort of thing. There's lots of real YouTubers that do that, as you probably, I don't know why I mentioned that. So eventually, he just gets onto his own social media, and maybe prior to this, he very respectfully goes to the executive and says, I'm sorry, I can't be part of this. Either way, the climax of the movie, he goes onto his social media and he makes a video. He basically just tells the fans, this is the situation that I'm in. I'm trying to force something because the people I work for are forcing my hand. And because it's forced, this isn't coming naturally. This is never going to be some great inspired work of art like the original trilogy. Therefore, I'm sorry, but I can't continue it. Maybe someone else will, but I won't be part of it. And maybe it belongs in someone else's hands. Yeah, this speech is writing itself, basically. I think if I sat down for 30 minutes, I could write something pretty detailed. So then he just respectfully bows out of all of this, and he lets go of all the stress and all of this. And then you wrap up all your real-world threads. The executive does appreciate his position, and he's not flustered by this. We're not going to have the cliche, nasty businessman. They're going to proceed with or without him, as he said at the beginning. And he'll still be there doing his thing, but you can tell that he has respect for Anderson now. And maybe even Anderson doing this, this does vary a little bit, but either way, he doesn't wind up, once again, repeating this thing of lashing out at someone in real life with his fiction. So him sort of having a final scene with the executive where they just part ways amicably, and there's no big drama. He's not going to get fired or something like that, although we could imply that that's a possibility, and whether that happens or not, Anderson just doesn't care at this point. This is about art, not about making money anymore. And for him, it never was. He's the artist that what he said just happened to resonate with people. He was never out to be a celebrity or something like this. And then when he was trying to be, the creativity wasn't coming. That's why he has to step away. So then at the end of the movie, he goes back to the coffee shop. And By the way, just before I get into this is where I got the whole idea from. There was a scene early in the movie that inspired my entire take on what this fourth movie could be, basically as I've laid it out here. And I've had some years to think about it. I just didn't see the point of making this video, but I guess now that I am an author, I feel a little more confident in my ability to tell stories, so I'm making this video. Right, so at the end he goes to the coffee shop, and this time he does wind up talking with our Trinity lookalike. Anderson winds up sitting down with Trinity, and they have their coffee and they visit. There's nothing romantic here. This is just, they're having a nice chat about stuff, and either she recognizes him, maybe she saw something in passing, maybe her kids like to play the games even though they're older now, maybe she played them, something like this. Yeah, I like that. That could work. Anyway, but they wind up talking about that he is the brain behind the Matrix trilogy games. And as in their conversation in the movie, she expresses appreciation, and she's obviously a bit of a fan of this, and she just thinks that he's very nice, so she's, supportive of him. And I would have it that she's not aware of his decision yet not to make a fourth game. So they're just talking about the classic trilogy. There's none of the baggage of what's happened lately is happening. The implication is she's not really on social media. She's not up to date on all the latest stuff. I know lots of people like this. I know that for many of you watching this, you probably live inside the world of TV and movie news, but not everyone does. I also live inside of that world, and most of the time I have no one in real life to talk with about. That's getting a little too real. That's probably why I'm here today. So, the final shot of the movie, the final moment of this movie would be when they talk a little bit about what the meaning of the games were, and that a lot of people talked about what it all meant and all of this, as they did at the time, and the legacy of all of that. And the last shot of the movie.
So what's it like being a world-famous game designer? Must be amazing.
A lot of hours. Sometimes it is amazing. Most times, I don't know.
But you made the Matrix. Even I've heard of that.
Yeah, we kept some kids entertained.
Because I thought, when I saw that moment, I immediately thought this should have been the end of the movie. Rather than trying to make money off of this, make it into a franchise, the fourth Matrix movie could have just been a commentary on the fact that milking franchises for more cash is wrong. It interferes with the creativity of the original idea, unless you really do have a good idea of where to continue the story from, but most of the time there isn't a good idea. And the movie tried to comment on that and also do that at the same time, which I thought was a shame. But I think that this way you could make a great character piece. You'd have, this would be a great dramatic role for every actor involved, especially Keanu Reeves. And you'd still have the action. You'd have all the stuff that you would expect because of his brainstorming. You'd have many different ideas. And by running through them, you can really show this is hard to continue a story when it's been tied up so neatly. So at the end, we have a little bit about what does the Matrix mean to people and all of this. And at the very least, it made some people happy. And if your art can do that, you've made the world a better place. Anyway, thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.